I have to give all glory and praise and honor unto the Most High, and we're gonna get into it, man. And this video right here is gonna be probably one of my most important videos, when it comes to targeting individuals, because when you finish watching this story right here, it's gonna contain elements, of things I posted before. For example, that video titled, this Plantation Thugs are extension of their slave master, meaning that video I posted up where it talked about, these guys who terrorized people in the neighborhood, they're left out here intentionally to do it. And you're gonna see that in this story. And then you have the other one. Remember that video I posted up, and it was titled "Things Are Never Gonna Change." This is exactly why things are never gonna change. And it shows you how, these officials, these government officials will come in and take these criminals out of jail, after the police lock them up, and put them right back out there on the street, And then you have another video titled, "This is how these slimy gang stalkers move." And you're gonna see, and that's entailing like, hey, these guys that they put out here on the street, they're an asset to the FBI. They're an asset to the police. Why? Because a lot of these cops, they don't have the street savvy that these guys have. They don't have the street cred that these guys had, and you see that in the Black Panther movie too. That they use him to take down these other cats because, he had that street savvy. You're gonna see that in this video. And finally, you're gonna that video with Aileen Wuornos, the woman that was executed. She was telling these guys the day before her execution that, hey, these guys left me out here on purpose. They knew I was committing these crimes, and they left me out here on purpose. And I'm gonna post all those videos in the description box. Linked in the description box for those of you guys that didn't see it yet. Because this right here, man, is what's going on out here. This guy had an extensive rap sheet. Extensive. And he kept getting let back out of prison. Why is that? And my whole thing is, do you think this guy was being ostracized by his community? No. No, but I highly doubt he was being ostracized. I highly doubt people was, excluding him and rubbing their nose and talking about you a snitch and this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? When these guys are the snitches that's out here, that's following you around all day, terrorizing the people, But they have the law on their side. You feel me? So this right here, it disgusted me, man. This story disgusted me, but it's exactly what's going on out here, man. And they use these guys to do their dirty work. But like I was saying, do you think he was being ostracized like we are? Like you targeted individuals are? Nope. Because these guys out here, hey, they're of the same house, and that's wickedness. They support wickedness. So, and they said it was 6 murders, but we know that, that it had to be way more than that. If they kept pulling him out of jail like that, So I'm not gonna talk too long. Let's get into this, man. I'm gonna post those links in the description box or the comment section, so you guys can watch it that didn't watch it. And these are the type of people that you have out here. And let me just say, it's not everybody out here that's like this, that's participating in the program. You have to pay attention. You're gonna be able to spot the ones like this, man. If you pay attention, And like I said, I'm gonna say one more time. Do you think people was harassing this guy? Do you think people said, look, let's stay away from this guy? Do you think they was coming out rubbing their noses and harassing him? Do you think he was isolated? he was able to come back and reinsert himself back into the community after an extensive record like this, man. But on the other hand, you have, people that have a clean criminal record, clean slate, not involved in any minor wickedness, and you're being ostracized. But the real wicked ones, they're allowed to roam around free, man. And this is why things is never going to be solved. And, we could tie that back into scripture once again, because the world is given into the hands of the wicked. So we're going to get into this video, man.
Winter 2019, Detroit. Just before the pandemic kicks in, a guy named Kenyel Brown goes on a murderous rampage, killing 6 people in 70 days. All the while, he's supposed to be serving a 21-year federal prison term for being an armed career criminal and working as a paid informant for the FBI or the DEA or the ATF, or maybe all 3. Kenyel Brown was born in the same area of Metro Detroit you may be getting familiar with from the Stars BMF show, the southwest border area of Detroit, Ecorse and River Rouge, the heartland of Black Detroit's auto working class. Kenyel Brown was born in July of '79 into a family with several brothers and sisters. He attended River Rouge High School, where he became a successful basketball player. And right after high school, he picked up a drug problem, and he might have started getting a little mentally ill because he started getting arrested for violent crimes after his successful stint as a high school basketball player. In August of '97, Brown gets hit with a year in the county jail for possession of a deadly weapon and assaulting somebody with it. A few months later, he gets out and he's locked back up for illegally carrying of weapons and resisting arrest. He pleads guilty and is conditionally sentenced to 4 years imprisonment, but in October of '99, he's arrested yet again for illegal possession of a taser and attempting to sell it. Now, I don't know if conditionally released means he was already working for the feds or probation, or probably both. After the taser case, when he starts to be in a lot of trouble because this is 3 assault cases and trying to sell an illegal weapon, he definitely starts working with some federal agency. In September of 2000, Brown's arrested for drug possession with intent to sell, but was released yet again. Now, if he was working, why did he keep getting arrested? Well, he was catching local cases, and he was working with the feds, so they would come and get him out. That's what it seems like. This is a pattern that goes on with informants. You got one agency protecting them, usually federal, and local agencies taking them into custody for crimes that they can't punish them for because someone comes and gets them out because they're more valuable free than in jail. But remember, he didn't have any major drug cases, so what type of valuable information could this young guy who's catching petty drug and weapons charges have that the feds are trying to protect him? Now, I'll give you my theory on that in a minute, but remember that that's kind of weird. In February of '01, Kenyel Brown became the cause of an accident which one person died and another was seriously injured. It was some type of car accident, or he hit somebody in a car and he tries to flee the scene. He's taken into custody. He's charged with second-degree murder, and he ends up getting 10 years in Michigan State Prison. Brown is paroled in 2010, and a couple years passes until we see him back on the police radar as far as we know. June 2014, he's arrested yet again, this time with a 9mm. Now, at this point, he's done 10 years in prison, he has multiple weapons charges already, and he's a prime candidate for when the feds come in and pick up these gun cases and give people long stretches. And they're going to hit him with the Armed Career Criminal Act, which carries life in prison. And he's about to get life in prison, and it appears that the ATF comes and sees him, and he starts working for them. And he ends up pleading guilty to 21 years in prison, federal. Now, so remember, feds is 85% parole. So if he gets 21 years, he's supposed to do 17, but he gets out in 14 months. So something serious is going on. Again, why is this guy so valuable that he can get out of a life sentence with only 14 months? Now, at first, when he got taken into custody for having the 9, he tried to call himself by his dead brother's name to the police. Then he said he was suffering from a mental disorder. He pleads guilty to 21 years, and he starts working with the feds. The only thing I can think of is that he was part of that very small subculture of the underworld, maybe, of hitmen and illegal weapons dealers. These are the most dangerous people in the streets of any big city. These are the guys that extort drug dealers. They do hits for drug dealers. That's the only reason I can think of that he would have access to the kind of information that federal agencies would want to protect him about. He might have been a hitman. He knew about gun dealers, and he knew about drug dealers because they let him be around them because he was doing hits for them, and he knew about other hitmen. Unless he was doing something for the police, but I don't have any evidence of that, but who knows. Okay, so now it's July of 2018, and Kenyel Brown gets taken into custody for drunk driving in the southwest Detroit suburb of Lincoln Park. He's still on parole. He's drug tested. He tests positive for some drugs, and he gets out of jail again. In January 2019, he's arrested for drug intoxication, and then he misses 4 scheduled sessions with his drug counselor, and an arrest warrant is issued for him in February of 2019. Brown was arrested a month later and charged with violating a state parole. In May, he was prescribed compulsory treatment for drug addiction and transferred to a drug treatment clinic in Madison Heights, where he spent 21 days, and he's released in June. 2 weeks later, he catches another drunk driving case, and a Detroit police officer from a federal task force, a joint task force with the feds, comes and gets him out of that, plucks him out of jail yet again, because he must have been doing something for them, obviously. This guy was so bad on drugs and alcohol, he's basically in a revolving door in and out of jail for drug possession and drunk driving. Now, mind you, third offense drunk driving alone gets upstanding citizens, or second offense gets upstanding citizens put in the county jail. Third offense drunk driving, and get you put in Michigan State Prison, but not him, even though, again, he's supposed to be doing 21 years in the feds while all this is going on. He must have been very, very valuable to someone very powerful within the criminal justice system. At the end of 2019, for whatever reason, Kenyel Brown starts to unravel, and he goes on the rampage, which will have the media and the police calling him a serial killer. Though I suspect if we could ask God, he'd tell us that Kenyel Brown might have been whacking people all along, whether it was for people in the streets, for the feds, or a little bit of both. But that's just my theory. I have no information that that's true. The murders that caused him to be called a serial killer begin on December 7th, 2019. Brown shoots 31-year-old Lauren Haddington in River Rouge. January 30th of 2020, Brown visits some friends that he knows from his youth, a 48-year-old named Dorian Patterson and his brother Gerald. They drink together. After Gerald leaves the house and goes to work, 52-year-old Kimberly Green and 44-year-old Clifton Smith come by the house. Late in the evening, a fight starts between the pair and Brown, who Kenyel proceeds to pull out his gun and kills these 2 people in the house. So that's another 2 murders. A third person is non-lethally wounded and manages to leave the crime scene and reports the incidents to the police, and Kenyel Brown is put on the wanted list. And on February 18th of 2020, Kenyel Brown shoots and kills 49-year-old Garcias Woodyard in Highland Park while trying to rob him. 2 days later, 41-year-old Amir Thaxton is shot dead inside of his clothing store in Detroit, with his money, valuables, and Dodge Caravan stolen thereafter. Now, we know that Thaxton did know Kenyel Brown. In what context, I'm not sure. And Kenyel Brown becomes a suspect in this murder because Brown's already wanted, and the police know he knows Thaxton. And 2 days later, his final crime, he shoots a 36-year-old while trying to carjack him. February 24th, 2020, Brown is seen visiting an adult bookstore in the suburb of Oak Park, Michigan, and the police close in. He tries to run through some apartment buildings and they surround him. And big surprise, Kenyel Brown shoots himself in the head conveniently. And he lives for a couple days, but he dies without talking 4 days later. And the case is closed on the serial killer, except, of course, at this point, the media finds out he was working with the feds and should have been in prison. And all these federal agencies start trying to shift the blame. Detroit Police Chief Daniel Craig severs the Detroit Police's relationship supposedly with the DEA over this case because the DEA won't admit that Kenyel Brown was their operative. Of course, the ATF was using him, and at some point it seems like the FBI was too. Quote, clearly Kenyel Brown was a federal informant, a DEA informant. Chief Craig of the Detroit Police said of the suspect at a news conference, telling the DEA, stand up, own it. Initiate an investigation and hold people accountable. Well, that never happened. Craig said Brown had worked off the books as a DEA informant before he was formally signed up by the ATF. But a DEA spokesman told the Detroit News he wasn't employed by the DEA. But if you listen to what the chief of police of Detroit said, it was that he was employed off the books, meaning he wasn't on a record. But they sure were coming to get him out of jail. Curiouser and curiouser. So despite the cold facts that Kenyel Brown was a protected asset doing who knows what, no agency has ever taken blame. They just say another agency is at fault. And yet 6 people, I would bet you more, are dead at the hands of a guy who was supposed to be in prison. And I bet if we could find out more, he probably was killing other people while he was working for the feds. Who these 6 victims were, how they, were they in the streets, I have no idea. The intricacies of Kenyel Brown's dealings with the feds, I don't know either. I'm not a journalist or a detective. Maybe a journalist or detective will look into that stuff. I'm just a historian, a sociologist. But happy 2022. It's a story of Kenyel Brown, the feds, and the Detroit police. Our prophet, our American dope, stay dangerous.
Fear not the words of sinful men, for their glory shall be dung and worms, man. Like I always say, you see the end of these guys. And here's my thing, man. This guy went out there, he killed all these people, man. But why not go out in a blaze? Why not go out in a blaze? Why turn the gun on yourself if he was gonna go out? Why go out in a blaze? You feel me? But nope, they don't do that. And you see that these guys are informants. He was an informant. And like I said, look, ain't nothing wrong with doing honest work. Like, you're doing honest work. Your job is connected to the cops, and you're doing honest work. But I'm talking about the wickedness, man. These guys, they did all these crimes. They did all these crimes. And then they didn't want to stay in jail. Then they coming out here and harassing the innocent people, man. And we know, there's a hidden hand also behind these guys that's pushing them. So you also can't really focus on these guys too much. It's more so the hidden hand that you're not seeing. But, so like I was saying, do you think he was being ostracized in his community? No. Do you think, do you think people's coming out rubbing their noses at him, or whatever the hell that means? And these guys are the informants that's doing this out here, rubbing their noses and doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? But the people that's actually following the law, they're ostracized. See, you see people like this, they don't stand on nothing, and it shows you. They don't stand on nothing. And they be the ones quick to buck up at you. But you see, he couldn't buck up at the people that was, probably setting them up too. Nope, he turned the gun on himself. So you see every element that I talked about. Go back and watch those videos. It's in here. These are the plantation thugs, man. That's left out here intentionally, you know, that they're an extension of their slave master to terrorize the community, man. You know, and everybody gonna buck up against you. You know, they're gonna buck up against the righteous individual. You know, when it comes to these guys. And you know somebody like this, man, had to be in the program. You know, out here gang stalking people. You know it. I mean, it's no doubt in my mind. Because like I said, I'm seeing it every day. You know, these pieces of shit that's out here, man. You know, and they think it's funny. You know, but they don't want people to know that they they can't fess up to what they did. And they out here and they quick to buck up against you, but they really weak. You know, if you isolate these guys the same way that they doing to us, you're gonna see how really weak a lot of them are. But you know, it's all fun, you know, when the hyenas are grouped up in packs, you know, and they're attacking that one person. But like I said, you see the end of these guys, man. You know, and the target's on these guys' back from the Most High. Because what does he say? The innocent and righteous blood cries out to him every single day, continually. Meaning all the people that, you know, these guys kill. You know, the scripture says their blood, from the time they die, their blood, you know, from in the earth, it cries out to him day and night. You know, asking them to be revenged, man. You know, so these guys gonna get theirs, man. You know, and you see that video I did with Mussolini. He was a dictator. If the Most High brung him, cast him down. What you think you got? You think you guys are exempt? He was a dictator of a country, man. So, I mean, this is what's going on out here, man. It's absolutely disgusting, man. You know. Oh, man. But yeah, man. You know, go check those links out, check those videos out, and all praises to the Most High, man. Hopefully this was edifying.